Being single is mostly good, but it can suck. And one of the reasons that it sucks is because you are constantly misunderstood. Married people, I've heard a lot of things from them that have made me scratch my head. But in this video, I really wanted to talk about some of the things that burn me up, so that if you are a person who is in a relationship and you want to support your single friends, you make sure to really avoid these phrases. Not only is this question extremely rude, but it also makes it seem like it's that person's fault that they're single. Most of the single people that I've met are not single by choice. Either they have been through a breakup, or maybe God is taking them through a season like He took me through. But many times asking this question can come off as really condescending. And it's especially true if the person is single due to a life circumstance that they might not feel comfortable talking about yet. Instead of asking this question, you can ask other questions around this topic. So, what are you enjoying most in your singleness? Or what is something you feel like you're learning during this time? Have you ever been friends with somebody who you were really close to, and then once they got married, they completely stopped hanging out with you, and then you go on social media and you find out that they're hanging out without you? There is nothing like that gut punch feeling of realizing that a group that you once used to hang out with all the time has decided to not accept you anymore. Now, I understand as a person who has just gotten married or just gotten into a relationship, you might find that you hang out with some other couples, or maybe if some people in the friend group have coupled up, it can be really tempting to just hang out as couples. But I want you to really think and remember how that person might feel. This is especially true if you've been hanging out with this friend for years now and they're really an integral part of the group. One of the things that you can do is sit down with this friend and have a conversation about boundaries and talk to them about how some group hangouts might now be couple hangouts, but also make time as a group to spend intentional time with your single friends. You never really know what kind of insight that they have, and also they're still your friends. I had to bring you guys close for this one because it's one of my favorites, and that is saying, oh, I have a cousin, friend, brother, and he's single too, and he's really looking for someone right now. I know that this comment comes with the best intentions, but I can tell you that coming from the single person's side, whenever somebody suggests to me someone, then my heart drops just a little. These dates and setups can feel a little bit like a trap. Many times you might go on a date with the person and you find out that you just don't match with this person. Now you have a choice. Either one, you can go to them and tell them, hey, I hung out with this person and it was just okay, but I don't think we're a good match. Thank you for setting me up. And then the person is probably going to be like, okay, cool. There also will be probably this little awkward part of you that's like, man, like maybe I should just make it work because they put so much effort into setting up this date. I've never found that setups work for me. If you do have a friend that you think would be a good match for the friend you're talking to, how can you set them up without making it awkward? I found the best way to do this is to say, hey, me and this friend are going out to do X activity. Would you like to come? This accomplishes two things. Number one, it takes the pressure off of everything. If the person knows that you're going to be there, there's automatically a little safety buffer. Since you're like the commonality between these two people, you can help to kind of ease that awkwardness just a little bit. And the second thing it accomplishes is that if things don't work out and your friend and that other person don't really get along, don't vibe, then there doesn't have to be any hard feelings, and you don't have to worry about that friend having to come back to you and tell you, hey, I'm so sorry, but this just didn't work. This next one I feel like should be really self-explanatory, but just in case you don't know it, saying that there's just so many other fish in the sea. So many times when people have used this saying with me, it has been when I'm going through a really hard time. Like maybe I was dating or talking to a guy and things just didn't work out. And it's when I'm in a super vulnerable moment, maybe I've just told that person like, yeah, like I just wished that things had ended differently. And then when they come back with this phrase, yes, but like there's just so many other options, or there's just so many other fish in the sea, there's a part of me that feels really heartbroken. Like if you were to just throw this out there when you and somebody else are like joking around and talking about dating, it's not really a big deal. But when you have somebody who's already vulnerable and broken, telling them something like this is just generally not a helpful thing. This next phrase is really funny to me, but it's saying, me and my husband got married and engaged within 2 months. Actually, I know that this is supposed to be a helpful statement that can be encouraging, but I find that for a lot of singles, myself included, it breeds this type of comparison. Number one, dating is very different, especially if you're talking to somebody who's been married for over 30 years. We are in a whole different time period, and social media and the internet really have affected our dating in negative ways. And so because of this, it's really unfair to compare your relationship right now or your dating experience to somebody who was dating in a time where it was common to call people on the phone and actually approach them in the grocery store and ask them out on dates. This next one is really difficult because I think that when people say this, they're really trying to be helpful. This is one of the more common ones that I've heard, and every time I hear it, I cringe just a little bit. I realize now, looking back, that when I was growing up, I was taught that relationships were supposed to be effortless and easy. Whether it was the Cinderella stories where the person was at a random ball and then they end up finding their Prince Charming, or whether it was Snow White when she went into the forest and she was sleeping and her man found her, or whether it was all those movies with Meetcutes where people would literally drop something and then bump into their future husband. I wish that dating and relationships were that easy. But these days, 99% of the time, relationships require effort and time and energy. Your husband is most likely not going to knock on your door to give you pizza or catch you while you're falling down. And so I feel like it sets singles up for a really disappointing experience when we tell them that when they're not looking for it, then it's just gonna happen. But those relationships, the super long lasting ones, are the ones where both partners are putting in the effort from day one. This next one is going to be the second to last phrase that we need to stop saying to singles. But if you made it to this point in the video, make sure you give this video a big fat thumbs up. The thumbs up tells the algorithm that you like this content so that we can grow our community, and it can recommend it to other people who like this video as well. I really hate this one because it always throws me off guard. If you know me in real life, you know that I'm a person who prays about everything. The people who ask this question, it kind of feels like a spiritual attack. Like they're trying to say that you're not being wise about your dating situation or something. And most of the time, unlike with the other ones, I feel like these people do come from a sort of like higher than you type mentality. If you feel differently about this comment, please drop it down below, because maybe people do say this comment when they think that maybe as like an advisory thing, or maybe if they're really close to the person. But I've never heard this used in like a kind way. Unfortunately too, even if you have prayed about a relationship, God is not a genie. Like, he's most of the time not gonna give you things if they're not in his plan for your life. So you can go out there and you can get into a whole bunch of relationships, but that doesn't mean it's God's plan. And if you really are waiting for his plan and waiting for his timing, you might be single for longer than you would like. And so it can come off as a little bit nosy when somebody's asking about if you prayed about something, because why does it really matter? If that person has not prayed about their dating life, then I don't really think that it's other people's job to like jump in there. You want God to be able to be the one that convicts their heart about that. Unless, of course, you're like talking to this person and then they ask you for advice, then that might be the time to slip in this question. But slipping in this question like randomly when talking to a friend, especially after they've told you about some struggle that they're going through, is generally not the best idea. This last one makes me extremely sad. There's this thing called projection where people take how they feel and they put it onto you, even if it doesn't necessarily apply to your life. I always feel like when people tell me this, it makes my heart hurt because I know that they're probably struggling with a lot of things behind the background. And I saw this one most commonly in social media where people have said, oh my gosh, you're so lucky that you're still single because my husband is insert complaints about their husband or wife in the comments. And not only is this not a great habit to have, but it also is kind of embarrassing for the person who is telling the single person this. Not only that, what is the single person supposed to take from this? Like, even though it is supposed to be a super helpful thing, I know for me, this comment makes me feel a lot of anxiety because I feel like, oh, I really do want a relationship. But then when I hear, okay, like this person's just not having a great relationship, like, is this a them thing or is this something that's pretty common? And I feel the same way about people who make comments about children saying like, oh yeah, like I know you like this area of their childhood, but wait until they get this age and you're gonna really hate it. Like, how do you really truly know what somebody's experience is going to be like? Let's, as Christians, become people with hearts of empathy that share love and positivity. And now I'm gonna share how you can really support your single friends this season, especially during the fall time as the weather gets a little bit cooler. First way is just take your emphasis off of relationships completely. Some of the best relationships in my life right now are the ones where I can just be myself. Most of my friends have been in long-term relationships for a couple of years now, but when I hang out with them, we just talk and spend time together and really just talk about our lives. And I find that in these spaces and places, I feel safe because there's no pressure on me to get into a relationship just so that I can keep up with them. Number 2 is to be empathetic to your friend when they talk about their struggles. And I think it's really unrealistic that many couples and people expect that people who are single are going to just be happy 100% of the time. This is especially true because most people don't choose to be single, but it's a place in their life that they're at because maybe they don't want to settle for less. And my last and final tip is the most important, and it is that if you want to be encouraging to your friend and talk about your relationship, try to talk about it in a positive light always, or say nothing at all. Now let's get on to our moment of inspiration. So today's moment of inspiration is going to be about love. We're in 1 Corinthians, specifically 1 Corinthians 16:14, which says, do everything in love. And then 1 Corinthians 13:1 says, if I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I am a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. A clanging cymbal, as you know, is a distraction and it really doesn't add anything to an environment. So many times these things and phrases that we talked about in this video would be so much better if they were wrapped up in love. If we do everything from a place of love, then we're going to pay attention to how the person on the other end will receive how we are coming about. Like, we would never tell a friend that there's more fish in the sea when we see that they are crying because they're upset about a breakup that just happened. Timing is so important in so many relationships. And so I think as Christians, we can overall do a better job of making sure that we are loving when it comes to addressing our friends who are single, and especially coming from a person who is in a relationship, how we think about what we say. Because your single friends really do need you and they really still care about you. And many times they're not even quote unquote jealous of what you have going. They just want you to know that even though you're in a relationship, they don't love you any less. And now let me pray us out. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for waking us up this morning and bringing the viewer to this video. And Lord, I pray that some of the things that were said will resonate with the hearts of the person who watched this video. And I pray that as they go about their daily life, that you would help them to do things with love, whether that is telling somebody something that needs to be said, or whether that is correcting somebody or letting them know that their feelings were hurt. Because without love, we really are nothing. Lord, I pray that if there's somebody here who doesn't know you, but that they want to know you better, I pray that they would go down to the description box and pray this sinner's prayer to accept you into their life. And then Lord, I pray that you would plug them into the right church environment so that they can get started walking on this journey with you and really experience what true love feels like. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure you give it a big fat like. And also make sure you check out my singleness playlist where I talk all about other topics of singleness. I'm so excited because it's fall time and fall is the perfect time to talk about love. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video and I love you to the moon and back.